It's Christmas Eve. Well, at least it is here in Alaska. For most of you, it's Christmas Day or maybe even moving into the day after. And being in a group and managing a program that helps women all over the world. And in Alaska, I work as a therapist and I help men on YouTube, definitely supporting men. All of us as human beings have this sense of nostalgia around the holidays. And if you're really early in your loss, you can have a sense of really looking back. I was in the grocery store today and I was in the slowest line possible. When you get in the line and you're like, oh my gosh, this only happens to me. Me and the guy in front of me, he said the same thing. This only happens to me. So I blamed him. I said, it's your fault. I'm in the slow line at the grocery store. But what I want to share with you about that is, and please excuse my dog if you hear him snoring in the background. I have a French bulldog. They're snory. So I was looking at the magazine rack, trying to be present and in the moment and not be in a state of waiting, just, looking around. And I see, a rock band on the cover of this magazine. And I'm like, ooh, Van Halen. And they're in their glory, and David Lee Roth is young, and everybody's just having a good time on the cover of this magazine. And I thought, wow. And all of a sudden, I just felt like, shot back to the 1980s when they were just the hottest band, and I was rocking out as a teenager to Van Halen. And I realized, Eddie Van Halen's passed from this life. He's dead from this life. And David Lee Roth is not, what he was. I don't want to say he's less of a human, but he's, different now. Things have changed. That glory that existed in that band is no more. That is a memory. And so this magazine is glorifying it, Van Halen, whoa, and emotionally enticing us all to go back to this moment of the Van Halen glory days. And if you're my age, I'm, working on 50, that there's this stage in your youth where you're enjoying these different types of, bands, and there's this liveliness about it. And I couldn't help but think how similar this is to our grief and our loss. And when we look at pictures of our loved ones and we think, oh gosh, that vacation was so great, or when we did this thing, or that holiday, those Christmas pictures, and it like hurts, it hurts. Or we feel filled with joy and remembering what it was. But ultimately, it all comes down to this realization that none of it exists anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. So does that mean it wasn't real? Of course not. It was real. But let me take you into an existential state. Okay? Metaphysical meaning beyond the physical. That there is this piece of us which is the reality. That we are this spiritual existence, the spiritual being having the human experience. And so as we become the observer of our own lives, we observe the past, we like to try to predict the future, but all of the reality of our lives is always in this one moment, this one eternal moment. Because think about this for a second. The past is a memory, one that we can like to relive. I'm seeing Van Halen on the cover of the magazine. Woo! Glory days. Ha ha. Wait a minute. Some of them are dead and gone. That band doesn't exist anymore. The music still exists. I can still enjoy that. So what is it? What is the reality of what that was if the what the was is no longer? And then we project ourselves into the future about what could be, what we fear, what we want, all of its projections, All of these things, both of them, the future and the past, are nothing more than our thoughts. They're stories. They're stories. And so the one true reality is what we're experiencing right here. Now, we can take ourselves out of reality by telling ourselves a story about what's happening here. But there's one eternal moment. And so what I want to say about your loved one that's passed is that that experience you had with them while they were here, when they were here, you were in that one eternal moment with them in the Christmas time, in the New Year, in the Thanksgiving, in the birth of your child, in the celebration of family members, when they graduated, when you graduated, when you lost your job, when they scaled the mountain, when you got your first dog together, when you lost your child. All of those times, you were existing in that one eternal moment with that person. And so those moments still exist in an existential, metaphysical, beyond the physical way. And so we can revisit them, and it's not bad to revisit them. There's nothing wrong with that. But to recognize that if they were then present in that moment, then there's something there that still exists, isn't there? That eternal moment that is now, always now. It's always now. It's going to be the future when it's 10 years from now. And you're like, hey, it's, 2031. It's going to be now again. 5 years ago, we were saying, oh, it's going to be 2020 pretty soon. Here it is, 2020. It's now, isn't it? It's always now. And so that now moment means that there is no death. Only to the physical. That which can be destroyed, says the Course in Miracles, does not exist, is the illusion. That which can be destroyed, the body, this computer that I'm communicating with you on, these glasses, that mountain, all of them can be destroyed. I just was reading about, I was watching a video. A whole island disappeared that used to belong to, I think, Mexico. Well, they can't find the island. Where did it go? The only thing that cannot be destroyed is energy. It can only be transmuted. And so those moments that you had with your loved one, they still exist. Your loved one, as they depart the body, still exists. Now, let me give you an analogy. We believe so strongly that this is who we are. I am Sevilla. I am a spiritual intuitive. I've got a master's degree. I'm a counselor. I'm a widow. I'm a mother. I own a plant. I've got dogs. All of those things. All of them. They're temporary. Now, the memory of them, I get to keep. I get to take that with me. But the reality of them, the physical connection, being a homeowner, all of these things I can't take with me. And so are they real when they can be destroyed? If it can be destroyed. So we spend all of our time and our heart grieving over the loss of something that was never actually real. Because the reality still exists. The love, and I want to say the love still exists. You just love them forever. No, the person you love still exists. They're there. They've transformed. into another energetic realm, and they can see and experience you, although you cannot see and experience them because you are in a dense physical form right now. You need to be so you can have this physical experience. Your brain is like the CPU unit, and then you have the body. The soul works through the brain and the body so you can see and feel and touch and experience the polarities of this life so you can make choices, understand and move forward. If you without the polarities, you can't make a choice. You can't move towards the light unless you can choose it. That's why we come here. And so your loved ones that have passed on back home, you're not home yet. I just want to say, you're not home yet. They are. They are back in the reality. You're still in the illusion of this physical life. Now, it's an important illusion. It's a very, very important one. But it's also very important that we become the observer of the experience that we're having. And as we become the observer, because when you have a thought in your head, oh, XYZ, that's blue or purple, I've gained too much weight, I've gotten too skinny, oh my gosh, I really hate flatbread. Those are all thoughts, opinions. And who is it that has those thoughts? Who has those thoughts? Is it me? Well, who knows that I'm having a thought? Who knows it? If I know that I'm having a thought, then am I my thoughts? Or am I the observer of my thoughts? If I'm the observer, then I'm not the thought. So what I want to say to you is the thoughts are part of the egoic brain, which is an important part to help us process this physical life. We need the brain, we need the ego. It serves a purpose. But it also keeps us attached and dragged down on the negative things of life. And until we become the observer, we stand in a place of powerlessness. Powerlessness over the pain, the loss, the suffering, the story we're telling ourselves. I'm a widow and I'll never love again. I've had a loss. My body doesn't work the way it used to. I'm getting old. I'm getting fat. I'm getting too skinny. I don't have strength anymore. All of these things are stories. Now, they may be true in terms of what you're experiencing, but how you're telling yourself that story really makes a difference on how you experience it. Now, what I want to say is Stephen Hawking, one of the world's most brilliant human beings that's lived in our age. Now, you know that he had ALS and he couldn't use any part of his body. This brilliant mind stuck in the prison of his physical form. But he didn't see it that way. He really didn't. And as a matter of fact, when they had the technology come out that he was able to communicate his thoughts clearly and readily, you know what he said? He didn't say, oh my gosh, poor me. I can't move my body. I can't express my thoughts. No, he said, what more could a man ask for? What more could a man ask for? From a man who couldn't use his body, had no control over it? Now, I'm not trying to tell you that you should be like Stephen Hawking, because the reality is, if I were you and I had lived your life and been a product of your upbringing and and the parenting you received and all the experiences you've had up to this point and had your particular types of losses, I would be experiencing life exactly the same way you are. And at this point in time, in this juncture in your life, you now have this choice. The physical life brings the polarities of choice. And so we have this opportunity to turn towards the light or turn towards the darkness. Now, I knew a brilliant psychotherapist that I used to work with, and he had in his office two words. And on one side of the room, he had the word negative. And when he'd have a new client, he'd say, okay, I would like you to turn towards this word. What do you see? And they'd say, well, I see the word negative. And he said, now, without turning around, tell me, what do you see behind you? He said, well, I don't see anything. All I see is the word negative because I can't see behind me. And he said, yes. Now turn the other direction. They would turn the other direction, and the word positive would be written on the wall. And he would say, what do you see now? He said, I see the word positive. Can you see the word behind you? No, I can't. All I can see is the word positive. Where we, because we're living in a constructed universe, in a illusion, if you will, an illusion that's here for our benefit and our growth. Where we put our energy matters. What we focus on matters because we are focused in a direction, we actually are giving energy to it, we're creating more of it. So this is where gratitude comes in. And it's so important when we're grieving, when we've had a loss, when we're trying to rebuild our lives, to focus on the things that we do have. Now, I don't just mean surfacely, and sometimes we might have to be a little surface about it to get going in that. But it's like this. If I have a pair of glasses and I'm near, well, I'm farsighted, okay? I'm farsighted. I can't read without my glasses. It's getting worse every day. Now, if I had lost a lens and I can't afford to get new glasses, I may pick these up. Now, in a state of gratitude, if I've lost a lens, I may do this. I can see and I can read with one lens. I'm so grateful that I can do that. Now, some people feel like that's patronizing, but it's really a choice. You can sit there and have nothing and be grateful for the pencil you have in your hand that you can pick up and write down your thoughts. Whatever it is, this is where you have to begin to be in a state of gratitude, because this is what gratitude does for you, is that it builds more benefit in your life, not only by changing your perspective in that energy where you're looking at the positive side of the wall and not the negative side, because you can look at either one. You really can. This is why we're born into this world, the physical polarities. So we can choose that. And in the spiritual realms, we don't have that challenge. We have consciousness, we have understanding, we have reflection on the life that we've lived, but we're so close to the source. It's like being a little baby, when little babies are just so innocent and they're so pure. We're kind of like that in a physical form. In a spiritual form, when we've left this life, we still kind of keep our personality, but we have this detachment that we didn't have in the physical life, unless we were quite enlightened, but most of us aren't. We're all moving on that journey. We're taking the journey together. That's why we're here. And so as you move forward on that journey of enlightenment, an enlightenment in waking up to your true reality, waking up that you are not your story. And the story of the person that lived is not who they are. So let me give you another analogy, okay? So I heard this from a great teacher that I really admire. Gave this analogy of, say there's a great actor and he goes on the stage and he plays out the role of, and he gave this analogy of Frodo Baggins. He plays Frodo Baggins and he gets a standing ovation and he's done and he goes off, and then after he's still just so wrought in the story of the Lord of the Rings and all the experiences he had. And so his friends come up to him and they say, hey, Joe Smith, what's going on? And he's like, no, I'm so sad. I've had so much loss and I've lost so many friends in battle. And his friends go like, Joe, wait a minute. You're not Frodo. You just played him on the stage. You're actually Joe with a wife named Mary and 2 kids, and you live in the burbs. And you work at Dairy Queen to make ends meet. You're not Frodo Baggins. So it takes him a while to kind of get out of that role and recognize that he wasn't Frodo Baggins from Lord of the Rings. It was a great analogy that he gave. And I loved this because I think it really helps to spell out this challenge that we have around our grief. and the loss that we've had because we're so attached to the story. Don't allow me to make you feel like your story didn't matter. That's not what I'm saying at all. Please hear me when I say the reality of your loved one that's on the other side is eternal. It's not bound by a story that you believe has ended because it has not. The person has not ended. They're still existing just beyond the veil that you cannot cross because you have to stay here in the physical density so you can experience the polarities of choice. And experiencing those polarities of choice allow you to then grow your soul. Without the choice, without the polarities, we can't grow very quickly. It's why we come back to the earth and reincarnate. And your loved one knows this, and they want you to hear that so you can make the most of what you have left in front of you. They're done here. It's kind of like if you're in school and your best friend's a year ahead of you in school and they graduate, are you going to drop out of school because your friend's already graduated? No, you're going to finish the next year so you can graduate too. They have graduated already, regardless of the circumstances around their death. They have crossed over. And now you have more school left to do. And you can't do your school if you're allowing yourself to focus solely on the pain and the suffering of the story that is no more. They are now on the cover of the magazine, and that story is held with honor and love and reverence. And now you have to create a new one, which means you have to put one foot in front of the other. You have to take risks when you're ready. You have to cry when you feel you need to. You have to allow all of the feelings, all of the pain, the grief to come through, but not to get stuck in you. And it comes through when you allow it. I've just had an overwhelming sense of grief and loss, and I'm going to cry my eyes out. I'm going to drink a beer. I'm going to run around the block. I'm going to do whatever I need to do and just and let it flow through you. This is what needs to happen so then you can choose with the more clarified mind, the mind that's clarified because you've had the throughness of the experience of your emotional release. So it's not bogged up. And then as your soul is like working through your mind. Your soul is the consciousness. The mind is the CPU unit. And the body is the motor that does what you need to do so you can have the experience. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to write a story. I'm going to pick up my microphone. Okay. So I don't want to get too out there for you, but I want to drive home this sense of the observership of your life because it's so important for your healing to be able to separate yourself from the story. If you can observe the story, if you can observe the thoughts, if you can see the history, if you can watch the videos, if you can do all of that, then who is watching? Who is observing? Who? It's you, your eternal soul. Your eternal self is infinitely connected to your loved ones that are on the other side of the veil. You are not alone. And it's your job now to choose as best you can in the moment, given the faculties that you have given to you, gratitude. Even if it's just that you have a pencil in front of you or a roof over your head or listen to some woman babble on the other end of your Facebook group. Gratitude so you can attract more of it as the energetic being that you are and allow your loved ones open up and invite them in to help you with this. Please help me, not in a needy way. Need you. No. In an open, mature, I invite you in to help me move forward. I invite you in to share your love and your wisdom with me so that I might release myself from the debilitating pain, honor what we had, recognize the eternal connection, and then to be present with the new things in my life and to be ever grateful for even the tiniest, most minute thing so that I might bring more of it into my life. Now, you may be watching this a year out or 2 years out from this particular Christmas Eve. It may be Christmas Day for you. It may be your birthday. I don't know. But I hope that something in this has spoken to your heart, that this comes from this very deep and genuine place. I hope you feel and know that the connection, whether I know you or not, between you and I, and all of those that hear this, that share in that, then create a love, a healing consciousness, and that as we begin to heal, heal doesn't mean we feel no grief. Heal means we become better observers and better choice makers. As we begin to heal, we then allow others to heal. And then we also help to raise the consciousness and the vibration of the planet. We help the planet to heal because we're an organic part of it and we're a spiritual part of every living thing. I wish you many blessings. And the recognition every day and every moment as you take a deep breath, as you awaken in the morning, recognize your humanness and then know, I am the one who sees this. I am. I am. I am.